And we start with the latest on the aerial search for that Air Asia flight that went missing over the weekend. That has been called off for the night. 162 people on board. To fill us in on this tragedy and what some of the family members of victims are going through, our guest this hour is Ken Jenkins. He's an aviation crisis consultant. The website is KenJenkinsLLC.com. Ken has covered several air disasters, including the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 in March. Ken, thanks for joining us here on America's Morning News.
Good morning, sir.
So the very latest is this aerial search, anyway, has been called off for the night. Ken, does that mean ships will stop searching?
Well, I don't think you'll see a complete stop. I think what you're seeing is a lot more of the aerial search that has kind of decreased for the evening. The ships are most likely still in the area, and there are currently, I think, 12 ships that I've heard about, 5 planes and 3 helicopters. So, of course, the planes and helicopters are out of the sky for now, but the ships are still in the area.
There were earlier this morning and late last night, there were reports of some oil slicks spotted, some possible debris. That has since turned out not to be from the flight. What do we know as far as from takeoff to now where this plane might be?
Well, the last radio contact and satellite flight information gives a pretty accurate location of where they think the aircraft may be within a radius of several miles, of course. And you're looking at water that is not as deep as it would be for, say, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which was over, of course, the ocean. This is in part of the sea where it is a shipping channel, and the water's only 150-plus feet deep. However, still underwater, you don't have the beacon where the satellite can pick up the beacon signal of where the aircraft is. So you're just looking at some time. I think in the next 24 hours to 48 hours, Matt, we're going to find this aircraft.
Do you think it's at the bottom of the sea like they have suggested?
I do. There is the possibility that it could have been over land and sea, but I think at this point, based on the satellite trajectory, no beacon, that it's most likely at the bottom of the sea.
Let's get into the human side of this, the real tragedy here. 162 people on board this flight. Ken, what happens when a flight like this disappears and the aircraft, not the aircraft carrier, but the airliner has to contact these families? What's the process there?
That's very interesting, Matt, because most people think specifically to the aircraft accident investigation, and there are 2 distinct pieces to an aviation disaster. The first, of course, is the investigatory piece. You want to know what brought the aircraft down. The second piece, and I think almost more important, is the humanitarian piece, because it is so widespread. We're talking 162 families here, and you're also talking about the responders that are going to find this aircraft and what they may see when they find the aircraft. So what an airline does is they activate their crisis plan. And part of that plan is the humanitarian response. And what they're going to look at doing, which they've already done, and I think AirAsia so far is doing a good job, is having locations where the families can gather at the board point of the flight and the off point of the flight. And at those locations, the airline will have personnel available in private areas where they can talk with families confidentially and provide them information and provide them services such as spiritual care, child care, food, water, clothing if it's necessary to keep them comfortable, and have a secure location where they can be kept abreast of the developing situation.
In a situation like this where you've had officials say more than likely this is at the bottom of the sea, Ken, what do you say to these family members?
Well,
to comfort them specifically?
And it's hard to comfort someone when you're talking about an aircraft that may have been at 36,000 to 38,000 feet that now could be at the bottom of the sea. I mean, there's just no comforting words to say that your loved one is gone, and 2, what may have happened between being in the air and then being in the ocean. What you can do, though, is provide them accurate information. People, and I found in the number of accidents, and I've worked 12 accidents, Matt, people can handle the truth. They don't like being lied to, and they don't like having information being withheld from them. but you can share with them what you know to be true. It's important not to speculate, however, which I think the CEO for AirAsia did a very good job of saying, we will share with you the information we have, but we won't speculate. And I think that's very prudent. Families can hear everything that they will hear on the media, through social media and whatnot, but they just want to know what happened at the end of the day.
Yeah. We're speaking with Ken Jenkins. He's an aviation crisis consultant, the very latest on the missing AirAsia jetliner. Ken, you had mentioned the head of the airliner. He had tweeted. He had come out with some information. What lessons do you think he learned, or maybe he's done differently compared to the disappearance of Flight 370?
Well, I think and again, that's fascinating to me to watch as well, in particular because I was 12 days in Kuala Lumpur with Malaysia Airlines. And while Malaysia did their best to give information as quickly as they had, what you're seeing here with AirAsia seems to be a more cohesive and concise response. They seem very well organized at the very beginning of this event, and then getting out a toll-free number for people to dial into, taking care of posts on social media and responding to inquiries from the public and from family members, but most importantly, having a very secure location where family members can go at the airport locations to get that information. What I've shared with clients in the past, Matt, and I share today, is the two areas where airlines can severely fall behind in their responses if they don't take care of the people at the airports and on the telephones where they're going to call for information. It appears AirAsia is handling both of those very well at this point.
And outside of Flight 17, which was shot down over Ukraine, this is the third incident involving Malaysia this year. Are any lessons to be learned?
There are always lessons to be learned in the aftermath of a near disaster, whether it's technological advancements and things that we learned that might have been wrong with the aircraft itself, or the flying conditions and how pilots responded to it, which we don't know what any of those are at this point. So yes, there are always going to be lessons learned. What I think will also be interesting as we go forward over time, and I mean the next 5 to 15 years, Asia is in a position of extreme growth right now, to the point to where they're challenged in finding enough pilots. And I think with that growth comes growing pains as well. But other than that, I wouldn't say that there are any things to be concerned with. I would fly AirAsia today, and I think they have a nice safety record, just like most U.S. carriers do today.
Ken Jenkins is an aviation crisis consultant. The website is kenjenkinsllc.com. Ken, thanks for your time. We will keep you on standby. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, Matt. Thank you.